Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from delusion, forgiveness, truth, sense control, and calmness of the inner spirit, pleasure and pain, existence and non-existence, fear and fearlessness. Non-violence, equal-mindedness, contentment, austerity, charity, fame and ill fame are the different states of the beings proceed from me alone. Sri Krishna told Arjuna that the different states of beings and feelings proceed from the Supreme Soul alone. 15 states or feelings are described in the 4th verse, and 7 states or feelings are described in the 5th verse. If you have counted, then you may think that there are 22, but there are in fact 20 because 4 of these are mutual opposites that go together. Fear and fearlessness, fame and ill fame, and they therefore make 2 rather than 4. This is because if there is fear, then there cannot be fearlessness at the same time, and if there is fearlessness, then there cannot be fear at the same time. In the same way, if there is fame, then there cannot be ill fame at the same time, and if there is ill fame, then there cannot be fame at the same time. These are all mutual opposites. Sri Krishna says that all these 20 feelings of creatures come from him alone. We all pass through these feelings. We will first see what great saints say about these feelings. The first feeling described is buddhi, the intelligence. The intelligence is a feeling because it comes into being. Anything that becomes is a feeling. We can say that when we were young children, then we did not have any intelligence. We also sometimes say that the intelligence got spoiled slowly over time. The intelligence changed over time, or the intelligence improved over time. Something is happening to this intelligence inside everyone, and this intelligence is always coming into being. That is why intelligence is a feeling. What is the intellect? Often during my discourses I talk about the mind, the intellect, the consciousness and the ego, and people do not know what the intelligence is. The scriptures clearly describe what the intelligence is. Shankaracharya says that the intelligence is the power of inner sense to grasp ideas which are subtle, etc. Buddhi antakarasya sukshma adi artava bodhana samatyam. The intelligence grasps ideas. One who has this power can be called intelligent. Tattvatam buddhimam iti vedanti. Such a person not only grasps subtle ideas and thoughts of many types, but analyzes them. Thinkers have thought a lot about who you can call intelligent. The people who do not understand what the intelligence is have tried to think about what you can call intelligent. What is the intelligence? Other thinkers say that intelligence is our capacity to adjust to changing circumstances. Therefore, the more intelligent the person is, then the more able he is to adjust to changing circumstances, and the less intelligent the person is, then the more he is unable to adjust to changing circumstances. The dinosaurs died because they could not adjust to changing circumstances. They were finished. Human beings, on the other hand, have lasted so many years because they could adjust with changing circumstances. Plants and animals have less intelligence. If you take a plant that is growing in India and a plant in Alaska, where it is extremely cold, then that plant will not last, it will perish. The reason for this is because a plant does not have intelligence. But a human being can live in Alaska. A child from India can set up a motel in Alaska because she has intelligence. The circumstances would change a lot, but she would not be able to live there. But she would be able to live there. Sorry. I have given a simple example, but no matter how much the outside circumstances change, we can meet a person in changing circumstances and adjust according to them. If there were 4 people in a house and the elder son got married, so that there are now 5 people in this house, the people adjust to the 5th person coming into this house. This shows that these people have intelligence because they adjusted to the changing circumstances. If they did not adjust to the changing circumstances, then according to the scriptures, they are not intelligent. If someone says, "I do not find it comfortable, so I will go," then this is not a characteristic of intelligence. A person who is intelligent can accept the changing circumstances. No matter how much adverse circumstances are created, adjusting to them is a characteristic of an intelligent person. I know that the readers of this book are intelligent, and therefore I will not go further into this topic, and the reader can think further on this. I said from the first day that we all have to do homework. How much the outer circumstances change and how much we can adjust to them are characteristics of intelligence. People who have less intelligence are not able to adjust to changing circumstances. Ramanujacharya says the intelligence is the power of the mind to determine. Buddhihi manasu nirupan samartyam. All the experiences we have get stored in our mind. If I were to say it in the computer language, then the mind is like a USB. Everything you put in the mind gets stored there. But the things that are stored in this USB have no meaning if nothing gets determined out of them, or nothing gets analyzed. One who determines and one who analyzes is intelligent. The intelligence is the capacity to decide. If one cannot make decisions, then you should consider that the person does not have intelligence. That is why people say, our intelligence is not working today, and therefore we do not know what to do. They say it correctly. When one makes decisions, then they are using their intelligence. The intelligence is our capacity to decide. If there is indecisiveness, then there is no intelligence, or there is little intelligence. Fourth, our scriptures show that the intelligence is our capacity to discriminate. The right and the wrong, the meaningful and meaningless, the action and inaction, are going to come in our lives. A person has to decide among these things whether the thing is right or wrong for her. A person who does this and separates these things is intelligent. One has to separate the good wheat from the bad wheat. In the same way, one has to separate the right and the wrong from each other and every circumstance. A person who does this is intelligent. God says that He is this power. This is the Lord's divine manifestation. The second feeling that Sri Krishna describes in this verse is Gnanam, knowledge, and Sri Krishna says that He is knowledge. Knowledge is the cognition of entities like the self. Gnanam atma dipathadanam abodaha. To take a simple example, recognizing a flower as a flower is knowledge. This is the cognition of the entity on the flower. Knowledge means to know something in its reality. To recognize a microphone as a microphone is knowledge. When I recognize a microphone as a microphone, then I can make the right use of it. A small child will not know what a microphone is, and therefore the small child may put this microphone in its mouth or start blowing in it. Because the child has not seen a microphone before, because, for example, the child has grown up as a carpenter with a surname Mystery in a desert in Africa, then the child may start blowing at this microphone upon seeing it for the first time. Therefore, the child has not known the microphone in its reality. Therefore, knowledge is knowing a thing in its reality. A person may know about everything, but he does not know about himself. This is why Shankaracharya says here that knowledge is the cognition of the self. Atmadi padarthanam avabudhaha gnanam. I may know a microphone as a microphone, an iron as an iron, wood as wood, Chaganlal as Chaganlal, and Maganlal as Maganlal. But do I know myself as myself? What is my reality? This is the ultimate knowledge. When I recognize myself in its actuality and its pure form, then at that moment I become one who has the ultimate knowledge, and at that time I realize that everything I knew about the outside was just information, whereas knowledge is a cognition of the true self. Everything else is information. Information can be helpful, and it is not as if it is useless, but knowledge has its own higher place. Ramanujacharya says that knowledge is the power of determining the difference between the two entities, matter and self. Gnanam chidachid vastu visheshyaha nishchayaha. Sri Krishna will later in this verse talk about pleasures and pains. All of these happen because one does not consider himself to be different from the world. If one did not consider himself to be different from the world, then he could at least become one with the whole world, because this is also a path. One could reach the state where one thinks, Sabhumi Gopalki, all land belongs to Sri Krishna. Narsin Mehta said, Iyalagi Atma Tattva Chinyo Nahi, Tyalagi Sadhana Sarva Juti. Manuka de taro em eregayo, prem mavati tanai visti duti. Until one has not touched the truth of the soul, all of one's efforts are in vain. Your human body would go just like that, just like the unseasonal rains. What has happened after one has read what has happened after one has read the Vedas and the Puranas? What has happened after one has done mala, turning a prayer bead while chanting God's name, and applied tilak, sandalwood mixed with ashes, to the forehead? A person thinks that if they read a lot of books, they are knowledgeable. Until one has not touched the truth of the soul, then one's efforts are all in vain. Only a clear speaker, such as Narsin Mehta, can say that. Eche parapancha safet bharvata. All these are otherwise just there to fill your stomach. Until you have not touched the truth of the soul, then there is no meaning behind doing all of these things. This is knowledge. People like to show the world that they are knowledgeable, but this is in fact exhibition of ignorance. If you go to a solicitor's office, then the solicitor may have framed his LLB or LLM degree and says with pride, "Look at my degree." Now, BA degrees are not much of value these days, but 30 years ago, people would place their BA degrees of history, English, etc. on the wall for show. Nowadays, these people do not put their BA degree up. People used to put up the degree saying, for example, BA in English. This means if you want to ask them anything, then you can only ask them about that topic. Otherwise, they do not know anything about anything else. It is a revelation of someone's limits. If you go inside a doctor's office and see their MBBS or surgeon MD, then this means that you should only ask him about that, and he does not know anything else apart from that. If you go to the doctor and told the doctor that you wanted to build a house and you want the doctor to design this house for you, then he only knows about the topic of his degree and nothing else. Therefore, a degree is not a revelation of knowledge, but a revelation of ignorance. Newton said while sitting by the seaside that the world only has as much knowledge as there is sand on a beach. And what I know is the equivalent of 1 grain of sand. The moment when a human being recognizes his self, then a human being becomes knowledgeable. The Upanishads tell us that this knowledge is that, after knowing which there is nothing left to be learnt. This is knowledge. There is a very famous and beautiful story of Shvetaketu in the Upanishads that I like very much. When Shvetaketu had acquired knowledge from his guru, then he went back to his town. Shvetaketu was so high-spirited that at such a young age he had acquired a lot of knowledge of God. His guru told him that his studies were complete and that he should go home. Praises of him spread in all 4 directions. When Shvetaketu came back to his hometown after studying at the Rishi's ashram, hermitage, then the people in the town gave him a welcoming ceremony. The drums were banging and there was a lot of music. Shvetaketu realized that before he went for his studies, he did not have such a great reputation. But after coming back from his studies, the people in the town had given him such a big welcome. Shvetaketu walked with his head held high. As soon as he saw his home from afar, he saw his father sitting in the front yard. Shvetaketu saw that his father was sitting there, and he thought that because he had acquired so much knowledge, and because the people in the town had been banging drums for him, he would go there, and his father, having seen all this, will be very happy and welcome him with a lot of feelings. Shvetaketu had these expectations in his heart. Shvetaketu went slowly towards his house, and as soon as he got close to his house, his dad got up from where he was sitting, and he went back inside the house. The father was waiting for Shvetaketu to come, and was sitting in the front yard, but as soon as he saw him, he went in, which Shvetaketu thought that was very strange. He thought that his dad would come running towards him to embrace him and say, "Come son, you have returned." But instead his father was sitting there and went inside. Shvetaketu went inside his father and asked him, "Father, why did you do this? I have come back as such a knowledgeable person. I have acquired so much knowledge, and everyone is singing praises of me. Yet you were sitting in the front yard waiting for me, and I thought you would come 5 to 10 steps towards me, but you went inside. Why?" His father asked just one question. "Shvetaketu, you have become very knowledgeable, and even I've heard from society. But have you learned that after which there is nothing left to be learned?" Shvetaketu had not even thought about this topic. Shvetaketu was very intelligent, and he said to his father, "No, father, I did not know anything like that. I know a lot, but at the same time, I also know that there is a lot to be known, which is remaining." Shraddhaketu's father said, "If you have not learned about that after knowing which there is nothing left to be learned, then what is the use of everything that you know? It is incomplete." Shraddhaketu was such a great student of that age and had so much thirst for knowledge that he did not even drink water from his house. He touched his father's feet and he ran back to the Rishi's ashram. Why did his father go back inside the house? Because he saw the feeling on Shraddhaketu's face as he was coming towards the house. His father saw the egotism on his son's face. That is why the father went back inside the house. Shraddhaketu went to his guru and asked his guru asked him, "Why had you returned?" Shraddhaketu asked his guru, "Guruji, why did you not teach me that after knowing which there would be nothing left to be learned?" The Guruji said, "Because you did not ask me that question. I give you an answer to each and every question that you asked me. You did not ask me such a question, and therefore I did not give you an answer to it." Shraddhaketu said, "Now I am asking it. Give me such a knowledge after knowing which there will be nothing left to be learned." The Guruji said that there are 400 cows here, and that Shraddhaketu should take them to the field to graze. And when these cows number 1,000, then Shraddhaketu should come back there. Such a long time, because while increasing the number of cows from 400 to 1,000, then some cows may even pass away during this process. Shraddhaketu could only return when the cows numbered 1,000. Think about what the gurus and pupils were like in ancient times. Shraddhaketu was knowledgeable, was accepted by society, and had this convocation because he was so knowledgeable. And yet his guru told him to go and take the cows to graze in the fields. Shraddhaketu had come back home with such a great convocation and degree, having studied for so long, yet he did it as he was told, because one has to do what the Guruji says. He did not tell his guru that, "I am not a cowboy, what do you think of me? Look how knowledgeable I am. Even you have given me praises for my studies." Shraddhaketu's Guruji told him to go, and Shraddhaketu went alone in the jungle with the 400 cows. He went deep into the interior of the jungle. At the beginning, his head was held up high. The egotism that he had began to slowly reduce. Egotism only lasts while the other person is there. So when the other person is not there, the egotism cannot last. Does one walk around with the head held up when they are alone? If one does, then it will look silly. There is only fun in raising one's head when there is another person there. There is no fun raising one's head when he is alone. If one is sitting on its own at home, then it does not hold his head up high. Try it at home when you are alone, by closing all the doors and windows, and try sitting with your head held up high. Do you feel anything? There's no reason to hold your head up high when you are alone at home, but as soon as the doorbell rings, you quickly hold your head up high. You will wonder who has come. It is only when the other person comes that you will feel like holding your head up high. When does the person get egotism? If you go to a wedding reception, then you will see the bride and groom all decorated, sitting on heightened chairs with red velvet and so many people in front of them. The groom is sitting there very stiff, and if he gets even slightly relaxed, then the photographers slap him on the back and tell him to become more stiff. He only has enjoyment of sitting like this when he can see that there are 500 people in front of him. Only then does he get enjoyment out of this. When the reception is over and all the guests go back home and all the workers go to sleep and everyone tells the groom to come and sit back on his chair, he does not now get enjoyment out of sitting on the same chair. He only had the enjoyment because of the other people in front of him. One only enjoys this egotism when the other person is there. When Shraddhaketu went to the jungle with the cows, there was not another person in sight. Therefore, who would he be egotistic in front of? There was just a pool of pure nature. There is one benefit of nature. When you go towards nature, then you realize how limited human beings are. When one lives only amongst human beings, then there is only me, 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 me. But when one lives alone in the jungle of nature, then how can one say me, me, me? When one thinks that they are beautiful, then they should look at the beauty of nature, which has been the same for thousands of years. Our beauty only lasts 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years. Good speakers tell us this. Praktetu shurashe varshashe gardvi apsara bhavet. At the age of 16, even a she-donkey looks like a celestial nymph. How long can this last? These are the words of speakers, not mine. Therefore, you should not ask me about why this is written, but you should ask this of the good speakers about why he has said this. This period of beauty may go from the age of 16 to 26 or even 36, but very rarely does it last beyond the age of 46. Then the time of being a celestial nymph is finished. Beauty in human beings does not last. But the beauty of nature lasts a very long time. For example, the peaks of the Himalayas have been there for thousands of years. Kalidas went and stood there and said, Himalayanam Nagadi Raja, when he saw the beauty of the Himalayas. Now when we go there, the Himalayas look just as beautiful. We never say that the Himalayas were beautiful 1,000 years ago. But now they're okay. It is you that is okay, whereas the Himalayas have been beautiful for thousands of years. This is lasting beauty. If it has been spoilt, then it has been spoilt by human beings. The Himalayas would never ruin their own beauty. The sun looks exactly the same, exactly as beautiful today as it looked tens of thousands of years ago. That is why we say that after getting married, we went on honeymoon to Sunset Point at Mount Abu, and it was very fun. When we went back to Mount Abu 25 years after we got married, and the sunset was the same as it was 25 years ago, it was just as beautiful. Look how much you changed during those 25 years, yet the sunset stayed exactly the same as it was 25 years ago. This beauty does not change. When a human being goes near nature, then the egotism of the human beings goes away, including the egotism of beauty. The egotism of power also goes away. Who can you show off your power to? You can have power over people, a power over animals, but can you have power over nature? This will never work. Can you tell the rain that it should come exactly at 9 a.m. on the 10th of June? The rain will tell you, sit down and I will come if I want to come, otherwise I will not come. Our power goes away when we are in front of nature. Can we tell a mango tree that a mango should grow ripe at exactly 12 p.m. on the 15th of April? You can tell a person to come to your house at 12 p.m. on the 15th of April and to ring the doorbell, and the person will do this if you have power. But the power of human beings does not work in front of nature. Nature has proven this over and over again. Poor scientists have been failing miserably over the last 500 years in their attempts to conquer nature. But they have never succeeded. Ultimately, nature has power over the human beings. Therefore, the egotism of beauty does not work in front of nature, and neither does the egotism of power. The egotism of knowledge also does not work in front of nature. Who can one show off their knowledge to? There is nobody to show off one's nature to. Shvetaketu could talk about knowledge, but all the cows would do is graze. It did not make a difference to the cows. When Shvetaketu would raise his head, and even higher than his head, he would see the trees. For whom could he raise his head for? His head would be lower in height than the trees. From the top of the tree you could see mountains and rivers. Shvetaketu realized that he could not show his egotism to anybody. Slowly and slowly, as he stayed alone, his egotism began reducing, and his head kept on lowering. Shvetaketu was on his own, and he got involved in this, and so lost in nature, and through the medium of nature he went deep inside his self. He understood about his self. The rishis in the Upanishads say that a lot of time went because Shvetaketu had stopped speaking, had stopped listening to everything except for nature, such as the singing of the birds, the blooming of the flowers, and the splashing of the river. There was nobody else there to listen to, and had done so much thinking that the thought did not even come to Shvetaketu's mind that he had to go back. When these cows increased in number from 400 to 1,000, then these cows came up to Shvetaketu and told him that they had become 1,000 in number and that they should all go back. Shvetaketu had completely forgotten to go back and did not even feel like going back. He was totally involved. Before he was lost, but now he had found himself. He came and stood at Guru's ashram with great humility. When he had gone, then his head was held up high, but now he had a lot of humility. Guruji was teaching his pupils something, and Shvetaketu stood by them with absolute silence and kept his head down. When the Guru's discourse is finished, and Guruji's eyes looked up and fell on Shvetaketu standing there, Seeing the total complete change of expression in Shwetaketu's body and his face, Guruji became happy because Shwetaketu had attained what he had set out to attain, and Shwetaketu's learning was complete, as there was nothing remaining to be learned. Guruji stood in front of Shur to get to and asked him just, Tatvam asi Shwetaketu? Shwetaketu, what is the answer to the question that you asked me? Namely, that what is the knowledge of gaining which there remains nothing to be learned? Shwetaketu gave his Guruji the answer, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. The conversation was complete. Shwetaketu was travelling in the jungle all this time. He did not ask his Guru any questions, and his Guru did not give him any answers. And yet, after all this time, his Guruji asked him, Tattvamasi Shwetaketu. Shwetaketu told his Guruji that he knows and gave the answer, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. This was a wonderful conversation, and if there is one greatest conversation in the world between a Guru and the pupil, then it will be this. If you try to experience this conversation, or to analyze this conversation, then it may take years and years. Such was this conversation. Guruji, Tattvam asi Shwetaketu. What is the answer to the question that you asked me? Namely, that what is the knowledge of the gaining which there remains nothing left to be learned? Shwetaketu answered, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. The answer to the question of knowledge, after knowing which there remains nothing left to be learned, was Shwetaketu's own self. Shwetaketu told his Guru that he had understood, and that is why he said, Aham Brahmasmi. This is the greatest conversation. The mystery of the Vedas can be described in three meanings. The first is, then Attvam Asi, you are there because of that. The second is, Tasya Tvam Asi, you belong to that. And the third and peak state is, Tattvam Asi, you are that. And there is no difference between you and that. Tattvam Asi is what knowledge is about. The third feeling that Sri Krishna describes in this verse is asamoha, non-delusion. This is a discriminating action as regarding things that call for understanding. Pratyuk paneshu bodhav yeshu vivek ruvika prabhutihi. A person who is murha, deluded, does not even know whether what he is doing is right or wrong, or whether what he understands is right or wrong. A person who is asammurha, non-deluded, only does things that are right and does not do wrong things. If there was one reason for destruction in the life of a human being, then it would be murha or sammuha, delusion. There is a famous story of Kalidas, that before Kalidas attained knowledge, he was sent to chop wood and was sitting on a tree branch, cutting the exact branch that he was sitting on. A person was passing below and shouted at him, "What are you doing?" Kalidas said, "I'm cutting the tree branch." The person told him that he would fall off. Kalidas asked the person how he could fall. This is murta, foolishness. Do we not also do such activities? We keep performing activities that separate us from the supreme truth, and this is murha, delusion. Sri Krishna says that he is asammoha, non-delusion. The fourth word that Sri Krishna says in this verse is shama, forgiveness. This means not just forgiveness and forgiving people, but when one has the power to retribute someone but does not do it. Shama akrushtayasa taritasya va arikruta chitata. Shankaracharya says while defining shama that it is the mind's freedom from agitation when abused or belabored. Kshama virasya bhushan. Freedom from agitation is the root of shama. This is when one gets insulted, but this does not agitate him. And the person has power, but it still does not agitate him. This is shama. Gajarao came back home at 2 a.m. in the morning, and everybody in the house was waiting for him. They asked him why he took so long to come back, because normally every day he would come back at 8 p.m. in the evening, yet today he had come back at 2 a.m. When Gajarao came inside the house, then there were cuts all over his face, his clothes were torn, and he was bleeding all over. His family members asked him what had happened. Gajraj said, "I was coming home, but four people grabbed me, took me somewhere dark and told me to give them everything I had. I didn't know where they had taken me. At the beginning I resisted them, but there were four of them, and one of them pulled out a knife, so I gave them my necklace, my wallet, my belt, my pen, and even my handkerchief. I did not do anything because there were four of them, and therefore I let them go." What else could he have done? Can you call this Kshama? Kshama is when one has the ability to retribute the other, yet he does not do so. I like Shankaracharyaji's quote of freedom from agitation very much. We get agitated and irritated by such small things. Freedom from this is Kshama. The flame in the form of peace of mind should remain steady no matter how much the wind blows. Ramanujacharyaji says that Kshama is a non-disturbed state of mind, even when there is a cause for getting disturbed. Kshama mano garhetau sati api avrikuta manastvam. We all get agitated without reason, or get agitated or disturbed, even when there is a reason for getting agitated or disturbed. When a person says that he is telling someone something because they have done something wrong, then what is the reason for telling him? What is the reason for telling him so? Everyone knows that he has done something wrong, so let it go. Why are you getting disturbed by this? This is what Kshama is. There is an event in Buddha's life where Buddha's discourse was taking place outside a town during an evening. A person came and began swearing very harshly at Buddha. Buddha looked at him very calmly. When you say something back, then the other person enjoys it, because a desire arises in him to say more things. But when someone does not say something back, then the fun of taunting such a person goes away. This person was shouting for 15 to 20 minutes, and then became silent. He asked Buddha that, "I am swearing so much at you, but you have not said anything back to me." Buddha said, "No, and there is a reason behind this. Yesterday evening, when I was in the town and there was a discourse going on, a person from the town brought me a plate full of sweets. I did not accept the sweets. What then happened to the sweets? The person said, if they had brought the sweets for you and you did not accept them, then that person would have taken the sweets back. Is that correct?" Buddha said, "Yes. The person yesterday brought a plate full of sweets, and today you brought swear words. I did not accept them, and therefore what will happen to the swear words? You can take them back with you. Why should I be agitated and disturbed by your swear words? This is what Kshama is." The simple and straightforward principle is that I will not punish myself for other people's mistakes. And this is the feeling of Kshama. Only then can one have Kshama. Remember Ramanujacharyaji's quote very well that even when there is a cause of getting disturbed, one does not get disturbed. We always talk about what the other person did first, but he has done what he has had to do. Now just let it be. Has other person got the switch to make you get red? Has the other person got a switch to make you go red? We always say, he did that and so I'm angry. Or he did that and therefore I did this. The meaning of this is that the other person has the switch to disturb us in his hands. If he presses that switch, then I will get disturbed. The meaning of this is that I myself am not independent and that my independence is in the other person's hands. How can this work? Kshama is born out of the feeling that one is a witness. The more of a feeling of being a witness to all the world that you create, then the more Kshama you will have. And the more of a feeling of Kshama you have, then the more that your mind will get peace. This is because when the mind gets irritated or disturbed, then this is a type of helplessness. This is the feeling that one cannot do anything about what the other person has said, and therefore one gets disturbed and angry, therefore one bangs his feet on the ground. If one could do something about it, then there would be no reason for them to get angry, because the person would have reacted and got the consequences. But one cannot do anything about it. And if you cannot do anything about it, then why are you punishing yourself? If you cannot punish the other person, then why are you punishing yourself? People ask me whether it means that you should not retribute the other person, no matter what the other person does. No, you can retribute the other person, but you should not be irritated by the other person, and you should not be disturbed by this other person. You should make the retribution an act. There was a story in Mahavir's life of don't bite it, but do blow on it. You should make the retribution an act. You should not be disturbed on the inside. You may have heard of the story. There was a snake by the name of Chandra Kaushika who would scare the people in the village by blowing at them, and the people in the village were very afraid of it. Mahavir was passing nearby, and the people in the village told Mahavir not to go there because there was a poisonous snake there. Mahavir said that he would go there. The people in the village told him that this snake would eat him. Mahavir replied, "It is because he is bad that I will go there. What is the use of me if I just remain among good people? The good people do not need me. There is more of a need for me where bad people are. I will go there." The villagers told him that this snake bites him. Mahavir replied, "If I was scared of death, then how can I be called Mahavir? Why should I not go there just because the snake will kill me? I will go there." So Mahavir went there, looking at the fearlessness and love in Mahavir's eyes. The snake came to the refuge of Mahavir. Mahavir told the snake not to bite anyone, not to harass anyone, and not to do anything. Then Mahavir told the villagers that the snake would not do anything. This world is so odd that as soon as the people found out that the snake would not do anything, then they all began harassing the snake. While the snake was doing something, all the villagers went far away. But when they found out the snake was not doing anything, then the world began harassing the snake. The snake would not be doing anything apart from sitting there, and one person would throw a snake at it, another person would lift it by the tail, and the snake was completely harassed. After 4 to 6 months, when Mahavir was passing by again, all the villagers had gathered there. Mahavir asked how the snake was. The people in the village said that they were enjoying it very much now because the snake had been left to die. Mahavir asked why, and the villagers said that the snake was not doing anything, no matter if they threw stones at the snake, if the children played around with the snake, or whatever they did. Mahavir immediately got up, ran to where the snake was, and saw the snake had gone weak. Mahavir asked the snake why he was in this state, and the snake said, "You gave me the message not to do anything, and therefore I am lying here, while all these people have been harassing me. I have become a toy for all of these people's games." Mahavir said, "Brother, do not bite them, but you should blow at them. No matter if you do not give others poison, but you should be careful that the other person does not give you poison. This is Shama." The fifth word that Sri Krishna says in this verse is Satyam, truth. Shankaracharya says that Satyam is utterance aimed at informing another exactly of one's experience, of things seen or heard, so that this is transferred to the other's intellect, so that the other can't have the same experience as one. Yatha drasyasya, yatha shripasya va atmanu bhavasya erabuddhi sankranya tattaiva ucharya manakvak satyam uchatya. One should wish that the beautiful experiences of the soul and supreme truth that one has had should be given to others. Satyam is not just stating facts, but informing others about one's good experiences. Speech of this type is Satyam. One should make effort to transfer good experiences to others, with the desire to do good to others, and only then will it become Satyam. Satyam yatha drashta vishayam bhutahit rupam vachanam. Gacharal did not have a happy married life. He was not comfortable with his wife, and they got into a lot of arguments. Gacharal therefore told everybody not to get married, and that if they got married, then they would suffer. Just because he suffered, does that mean that everyone else will suffer? It is fine that Gacharal has spoken about his experiences, but has he spoken about them with a desire to do others good? No, it was his reactionary thinking. This is not Satyam. Satyam is when one wishes to give others his good experiences, but at the same time one wishes to do others good and give other experiences that are good for the welfare. Satyahitam Satyam. Great saints that take people closer to the Supreme Soul is Satyam speech. That it is immaterial whether it is factual or not. If you look in each and every one scripture, there will be one thing or the other where we may doubt its factuality. In Christianity, there is a story where 10 missionaries had gone to the jungles of Africa to preach about Christianity. They encountered Aborigines who were cannibals. These Aborigines saw that 10 people were coming, and therefore they chased them with their spears. These missionaries ran in order to save their lives, did not see where they were going in the jungle, and just went when they saw a road. They eventually came to the seashore, and there was only that sea in front of them. Where could they go, because the Aborigines behind them were chasing them with spears? For one moment they remembered God, and a path was formed in the sea where the 10 people went, and the sea goes behind them. Is this possible? Our rational minds will immediately say that such a path cannot be created in water. It is impossible. There's another story where 10,000 people had gone to a Hajj. They were all hungry and had nothing to eat. Nowadays there are many facilities, but at the same time there was nothing there. But at that time there was nothing there. At that time one person had half a piece of bread, and Muhammad broke several pieces out of this bread and gave it to 10,000 people. There were enough pieces to give gulps of satisfaction of a full stomach to those 10,000 people. Is this possible? When a person is hungry, not even half a piece of bread would be enough to give him satisfaction. At the age of 7, Sri Krishna did the Giriraj Dharan, where he lifted Mount Govardhan. Is this possible? At the age of 7. Read it in the Srimad Bhagavad. It is clearly written in the Srimad Bhagavad that all the people of Vraj who were dying of fear went to Nanda Baba, Sri Krishna's father, and asked, Va satakahayo yano balak ko mahadri viradanam tadone jayate shanka vrajanat tadaratmache. We doubt everything we hear about your son. How is all of this possible? In each and every religion, such a thing will come up in one place or the other. Is all of this satyam? Ask, and I will give you the answer that you may doubt it factually, but this is secondary. After hearing about such events, the faith of human beings towards the Supreme Soul becomes steady. Human beings will think that this same God who can create a path in the sea to save the lives of 10 people, that's the same Supreme Truth, will not let me drown in the sea of nature. And the same Allah who could feed 10,000 people's stomach from a piece of bread and give them gulps of satisfaction, that same Supreme Truth will never leave me hungry. God may wake me up hungry, but will never make me go to sleep hungry. Jahadantana tetha dudh diye, abdant diye to ananade. God will make us wake up feeling hungry and thirsty, but God does not make us go to sleep feeling hungry and thirsty. This faith becomes steady. And if the same 7-year-old Krishna who would lift Mount Govardhan, then the same Supreme Truth will lift me, pick me up, and will not let me get stuck in difficulties, and will not let me drown in the showers from rain falling as a result of Indra's curse, because he will protect me and look after me. This faith becomes steady. The principle that I said earlier in this chapter may get the reply of whether a person can change into a dog or a person can take the form of a leper. I do not know whether it happened or not, but I certainly believe one thing, and this is that as a result of this event, people begin to see God everywhere. That is why I would talk about that event as satyam, truth. A vision of seeing God everywhere arises upon hearing this. That is why it is satyam. When one takes others close to God, then it is satyam. Anything that once there is which takes people closer to God than they were before is satyam. This is the importance of speech. The speech is satyam and great speech. Otherwise people have a lot to say and everything is just galloping. When a horse is running, then it is just making the sound of galloping. And then they speak so fast that one feels as if they have said, galloping. And this is what all other speech is like. When some people in Saurashtra speak dialects, then they speak so fast that one feels as if they have said a lot. But has one been taken closer to the Supreme Soul because of this? Some people say that others have spoken well, even though they do not understand what they have said. They just say that the others have spoken well. That speech which does not lead to differences in one, and that speech which does not take one closer to the Supreme Soul, that speech is not satyam. Shankaracharya says that speech which takes one closer to the Supreme Soul is satyam. Parabuddhi Shankataya tattaiva ucharya mala vak satyam utatyate. This speech should be there for the other person's welfare, and only then will it be satyam. Great saints give the example that if your neighbour is adulterous, then you should tell everybody that your neighbour is wrong and adulterous. But no, you should not, in fact, because you are just stating only a fact. Well, has what has been said done good for the other person? Well, no, because you have revealed the reality, and this cannot be called satyam. This is not satyam according to the scriptures. This may be true for worldly affairs, but no matter if this thing is reality, by saying it over and over again, neither does it do you good, nor does it do them good, because you have not taken the listener closer to God by making them hear about it over and over again. This is not satyam. The speech that takes you and others closer to God is satyam. And satyam is a form of the Supreme Soul. Whenever you experience this, then understand that it is a divine manifestation of the Lord, and one more window has opened in the place where you can see the Lord, and where you can experience the Lord's divine presence. This is because you never know when you will reach God, but if you can experience the Lord's divine presence through the peepholes, then you will be fortunate. The sixth feeling that Sri Krishna described in this verse is the maha, sense control. Nam bahindriyo shamaha. The senses go towards meaningless objects and do wrong things, and therefore one should control them, and the process of doing this is mamaha, sense control. Dhammabahiya karananam anartha vishayahe bhyo niyamanam. This could be compared to the reins of a horse. When the horse is going straight, then there is no need to pull the reins. But if the horse is about to go into the ditch or into a wrong road, then you will need to pull the reins. This is the maha, sense control. In the same way, the body is like a chariot, as is said in the Gatha Upanishad. Atmanam rathiram vidhi shariram ratham evatu. In this body in the form of a chariot, when the senses in the form of the horses are going in the wrong direction, or towards meaningless objects, then at that time the activity of controlling the senses is dhammaha. Maha is self-control, which is quietude of external senses. Then there is the seventh feeling described in kshama, calmness, which is to do with the internal control. Antakaranasya upakshamaha. Controlling the external senses is the maha, whereas kshamaha, calmness is the control of the mind, intellect, ego and the self. One's eternal spirit can also go towards meaningless objects. For example, the mind can run after meaningless objects, and the intellect can run after meaningless objects. And the activity of controlling these and bringing them back under control is shama. One needs both the maha and kshama, and only then can the car function properly. The outer senses should not run after meaningless objects. But if one has controlled the outer senses and the internal spirit is running after these meaningless objects, then the mind only thinks about the meaningless objects. While there is no kshama in one's internal spirit, then there is little meaning in the outer senses. This is because basically the thoughts of the mind and jumping around on the intellect make the senses go after the meaningless objects. First the thought is created in the mind that one something that is wrong, and then the eyes will say that they want that thing to go wrong. Otherwise it may happen that the eyes may see something that is wrong, and it sticks because the mind gets an interest in that thing that is wrong. One does not need to make efforts for that thing in order so that it may stick in the mind. If two people are sitting together and are criticizing one, then we have not left our houses in order to listen to criticisms. But if we pass when they are sitting and hear them, then our ears will immediately turn in that direction, and we will realize that somebody is being criticized. Then the ears only stay there because the mind stay there. The mind will then tell the ears to listen properly and to hold on to what they hear. What has happened here is the mind has reached there. One should first control the mind first, and when one controls the mind, then the ears will easily be controlled. There is mutuality. This is kshama, which is the calmness of the inner spirit. Sri Krishna said that both dhammaha and kshama come from him. Sri Krishna says that Sukham, pleasure, and Dukham, pain. Shankaracharya says that Sukham is joy and pleasure. Sukham is the experience of agreeable to oneself, or when one things happen which one wishes for. Sukham atmanu kulanu bhavaha. Sukham is propitious. Anukulyam vedaniyam sukham tatikulam vedaniyam dukham. Dukham is pain or agony. Dukham santapaha. Dukham can also be defined as the experience of what is adverse, or when something happens that one did not wish for. Dukham patikul anubhava. The Supreme Soul says that both Sukham and Dukham are because of him. The next words that Sri Krishna uses are bhavaha, existence, and udbhavaha, non-existence. Bhavaha is being, and udbhavaha, non-existence, is the opposite of being, i.e. non-being. Bhava utpatti abhavaha tad viparvayaha. Life happens when bhavaha and udbhavaha meet. Everything that happens in life either exists or finishes existing and goes away. A flower may bloom in the morning where it is bhavaha, existent, whereas in the evening it wilts, and therefore udbhavaha, non-existent. It is the same with life, because one is born and becomes bhavaha, and then passes away and becomes udbhavaha. Sri Krishna says that both bhavaha and udbhavaha are because of him. Then Sri Krishna says bhayam, fear, and abhayam, fearlessness. Bhayam is an instinct. Ramanujacharya says that bhayam is the misery that springs from the perception of the cause of future suffering. Agamino dukasya hetu darshara jam dukham bhayam. This future referred to can be that in 2 minutes, 2 years, or 20 years. When one feels the perception that one will suffer in the future, and this feeling is bhayam, fear. When a person comes in front of one holding a gun, then one immediately gets the fear that this person will pull the trigger and will kill him. This is fear. How can one fear the gun? But it is the feeling of the possibility that the person will pull the trigger and will kill him that leads to suffering for one, and this is the feeling of bhayam. Bhayam is the feeling that something bad will happen to one in the future. There are many types of fears. The biggest fear of all is the fear of survival or the fear of death. If you look at these two in one way, then you will see that they are both the same. Then there is the fear of status. When people do not have a status, then they wish that they should get a status. But when they get a status, then they will realize that these people can change at any time. When people do not have a status, people can say one thing on one day and another thing on another day. If one has status now, then will it last? This fear of status lasting is a very big fear. When one gets wealth, then one has the fear of wealth. When one does not have wealth, then one fears not getting wealth. But when one gets wealth, then one will have the fear of the possibility of the wealth going away. There are many types of fear. Abhayam, fearlessness, is the feeling that nothing will happen or everything that will happen will be right. This is the attitude from which abhayam, fearlessness, arises, and it is a quality of divine people. Abhayam only manifests when one has complete faith in Supreme Soul. When the 16th chapter of the Gita comes, then we will see when Sri Krishna talks about divine qualities. The first quality that Sri Krishna describes then will be fearlessness, abhayam. Abhayam sattva samshuk the gnana yoga vyayastiti venam tamashacharaya svadhaya statparajavam. Fearlessness, purity of mind, wise apportionment of knowledge and concentration, charity, self-control and sacrifice, study of scriptures, austerity and uprightness. Abhayam is the complete faith that manifests from the feeling that nothing adverse can happen, nothing contrary to what one wishes can happen, and that everything that happens is right. The next feeling that Sri Krishna describes is ahimsa, non-violence. Shankaracharya says that ahimsa means not harming animals. Apira pravinam. When we look at ancient times, then life was dependent upon harming animals and dealing sorrows to others. Ahimsa is avoidance of harming is avoidance of being the cause of sorrows to others. Paradukha hetu tvam ahimsa. It is very difficult to maintain ahimsa. We think that ahimsa only means not killing insects. People say that they are ahimsak, non-violent people, because they do not kill insects. There was a person who lived next door to me. He was filling his car with damper, and I asked him why he was filling his car with damper, and he replied that he is donating them all to an orphanage. I asked him if there was a reason for this, and he said that there are a lot of bees now in his house, and he cannot kill bees. Clever man, you cannot kill bees, and therefore you are taking the car full of damper to an orphanage so that these bees will bite these children. Ahimsa is the attitude that nobody else should suffer because of me. The second word that Sri Krishna uses in the 5th verse is samatha, equal-mindedness. Equanimity is mind steadiness. Samatha samajitata. When one is equable in mind, then it does not matter to him when good things or bad things happen to him. Not only that, but one who can keep this equanimity of mind, no matter what happens to his friends or to his enemies, then this is samatha. Atmani surad su vitakeshasucha, artha arthayo sama matativam. People have these three camps of me, my friends, and my enemies. No matter what happens to any of these, one who keeps this equanimity of mind can be called samatha. The third word that Sri Krishna uses in the 5th verse is tushti, contentment. Tushtihi santosha pariyapt buddhi labheshu. When one's intellect has a sense of adequacy over what one has gained, then there is tushti, contentment. People always feel as if what they have got is not enough. The mind is like a sieve, where no matter how much you fill it up, it is never enough. Ramanujacharya defines tushti very nicely as a natural disposition to feel pleased with everything seen. Sarveshu atma sudrashteshu dosha vavatram. When I read translations of the Gita, the tushti is on the majority of occasions defined as satisfaction, sense of adequacy, or contentment. But when I read a translation of Ramanujacharya, then I like the translation of tushti as cheerfulness very much. When you look at it one way, then cheerfulness is not the right translation of the Sanskrit word tushti. But it is very right according to what Sri Krishna is trying to say here. Tushti is bliss in everything one sees. Tushti is the attitude that God is in the heavens and everything is alright in the world. Tushti is satisfaction and contentment, and it is a natural disposition. Then Sri Krishna says, tapa, austerity. This involves controlling the senses, but in tapa, austerity, pain is caused to the body. Indriya sayam purvakam sharira piranam. What is the need for a person to go walking for 5 kilometers in the morning? If one had woken up late in the morning and had not gone running, then there would be so much fun to hold onto the blanket and remain asleep. But there is pain to the body in going walking in the morning. But the reason why they go through this pain is because you're going to gain something from it. A lot of people oppose tapa by saying that there is no reason to torture the body, but it is not torturing the body. It is disciplining the body. It is necessary. There is a need to discipline soldiers in the military, and in the same way there is a need to discipline the body. Tapa is the chastising of the body by denying oneself pleasures, as enjoined by the scriptures. Shastriya bhoga sankot rupa kaya klashaha tapaha. This is discipline in the body. Tapa should be according to what has been determined by the scriptures, and therefore, if someone nowadays stands up and tells you to do this, then this will not work. Tapa denies one pleasures. When the child is eating one chocolate, then it is fine. When it asks for the second chocolate, then you can give it to the child. But as soon as the child asks for the third chocolate, and you have to deny this to the child, then the child immediately puts on a sad face. Have you given pain to the child or not? Why did you give pain to the child? Because the good of the child is in this. You have to do so because the body is like a child, and a child does not know how much and asks for more. The mind runs everywhere, and the senses will also run. For example, the ears will tell you that they want to listen to something, the hands all to you that they want to do something, and the touch will tell you that it wants to touch somewhere. This will not work. You have to discipline yourself, and you have to deny yourself those pleasures. I have read that some people say that tapa is a barbaric activity. It is not barbarian. It is most disciplinarian. That is why Sri Krishna says in the Gita that yuktahara viharasaya yukta chesta. You should decide these based on your capability. Father may tell his child that if you eat 1 chocolate, then it is fine, and if you eat 2 chocolates, then this is also fine. But you cannot eat a 3rd chocolate. And this is fine, but if the father tells the child that the child is not to eat anything at all, then the child will die. Tapa is denying the pleasures temporarily and with a purpose. Sri Krishna then says, dhanam, charity. This is a very big topic. What is dhanam? The majority of us think that dhan, charity, is giving what we have to others. Of course, in dhan, the giving is involved, but it is not just the giving. It is the giving gracefully, and it is the giving beautifully. True dhan, that there is no egotism in the giver and no helplessness in the receiver. When a human being has Lakshmi, wealth, then how should they use it? A great speaker says it very nicely that Utpadita sukha yamyama dita tanuja ate navayati data bhagini kalushri anashcha sagamva dichatada parasti tatya gabadha manasa sudhi yo bhavati. Wealth can come in 3 ways. If you gave birth to wealth, then it is your daughter. If your ancestors left wealth for you, then it is your sister's. If neither you nor your ancestors have given birth to wealth, then it is an adulteress. All of these women need to be given up in any case. If someone asks a person how he attained wealth, then he would say that I earned it, or I gave birth to it. Really? If you've given birth to wealth, then it would be your daughter. If he says that his grandparents or his parents have left him the wealth, then the wealth is your sister. If neither you nor your father have given birth to wealth, and wealth has come from somebody else, then wealth is an adulteress. An intelligent person would want to get each of these women married. If the woman is one's daughter, then one would want to get the daughter married when she turns a certain age. If the woman is one's sister, then one should get her married when she reaches a certain age. And if the woman is an adulteress, then you have to say goodbye to some time and tell her to leave. You cannot keep these in any case. Lakshmi can take 3 routes. Great speakers say that either you can enjoy material objects, give dhan, donations, otherwise it itself will be destroyed. And how much can you enjoy? You should give dhan. Srimad Adi Shankaracharya has given a very beautiful definition of dhan. Yatha Shakti Sambhagaha, that the distribution of wealth according to capacity. This is dhan. This means that you should donate according to the power that you have. Capacity is a very big part of dhan. If a millionaire goes to a temple of God and places 10 rupees there, then this is an insult to God. One should give accordingly to the capacity that they have. I often say that a person who thinks about his status in many different places and I often say that a person thinks about his status in many different places, and in particular in business. When we get a wedding invitation from somebody's house, then when we go, then there should be a minimum amount of payment. But why? So our names can be written in the wedding diary that we gave X person came from this person. When we have our name written in a human being's diary, and we take so much care, so do we not take any care in ensuring that one name is written in the diary of a person up there? This is an insult. Our scriptures say this over and over again. They have not said that we should give a certain amount no matter our capacity. What have they said? We should give away 10% of our wealth as dhan. Even in Christianity there is the concept of tithing where they give 10% of their money away. In reality, you should be giving away a third of your wealth as dan. Then from a third, it became a sixth. Then from a sixth, it became an eighth. Then, and now it has dropped at a tenth. If it does not go lower than this, it will be good. People just do not give money away as dan. There should be distribution of wealth according to capacity. I will also say it from the other side. If there is an extremely common person and he does not give anything material to God, but folds both his hands and bows down to the Supreme Soul, then this is enough. The Supreme Soul looks at the attitude of the person. Capacity is a very necessary thing. Srimad Shankaracharya says that we should distribute wealth according to capacity. How should we distribute this wealth? In the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavad, there is a very beautiful description of how one should distribute the wealth. Shankaracharya preaches to King Bali about this, that wealth should be distributed in 5 equal ways. Dharmaya yahashithya, kamaya svajhanaya cha, panchada vivajan vitam, itha mutra madate. The first fifth for dharma, the second fifth to earn some fame, the third fifth for savings for oneself, the fourth for pleasures and material enjoyment, and final fifth for your loved ones. One who equally divides his wealth in these 5 ways will get bliss in this world and satisfaction in the world above. Nowadays, people have mixed dharma and fame together. It is the cleverness of the people. They earn some wealth and have their names inscribed on something and have satisfaction that they have done something dharmic. No, if they have the name inscribed, then the money has been used for fame. If one does this, then they will not get punya, the opposite of sin, for dharma. If someone has done it to get praises or letters of appreciation, then it was done to get fame, and it is good. The scriptures are not trying to say that it is bad, it is fine. If a person has earned some wealth, then he should earn fame and glory. But this is a different path, and you cannot intermingle it with dharma. We have put the files both in one. And if you do it, then do it 40%, so you can get 20% from dharma and 20% for fame. One should also have a fifth for savings or security for the future. This is with the attitude that I may be earning today, but what if I do not earn tomorrow? Leave a fifth of the wealth aside for such savings. Look at what our Indian Arthashastra, Indian treatise on economic policy says. The scriptures say that if you use 20% of your wealth for material enjoyments and hobbies and interests, then that's fine. The final 20% is for your loved ones and your own people. If a person close to you is in difficulties and comes to you with hope, then you should make sure that they do not go away empty-handed. A person who distributes his wealth equally in these 5 ways will get this in the world and satisfaction in the world above. If a person is not distributing wealth, then that means he is just collecting wealth. This is the difference between Western economics and Indian economics. A very prominent study of economics told me this. Western economics just teaches how to collect wealth and says that one should use wealth in such a way that it can be collected again. The rishis of the East say that it is not just important to collect wealth, but it is also important to use wealth in the right way, from which wealth doesn't come back just like that, but it will be good for one's well-being and will get peace. Western economics will tell you how to collect wealth and how to use wealth. For example, if you invest here, then you will get this much back. Anybody can say this, but if you use wealth in this way, then it will come back to you in many ways. It may not come in the form of money and rupees, but it will come in the form of mental peace and well-being for you in the world above. If I were to say it using different language, then many people show how we can use wealth in this world, but only Indian rishis have shown how to use wealth so that your life in the world above will improve. There is a simple and straightforward principle that not only you have the right to the wealth you are getting, you have received wealth from society, and therefore you should use some wealth for society. This is dhanam, charity. Ramanujacharya says, while defining wealth, that it is giving to another what contributes to one's own enjoyment. Svakiya bhogyayanam parasmai pratipadanam. This is dhanam. Giving others what is for you and your enjoyment is dhanam. I always give a principle to show what samyas, renunciation, is. Giving others that which I have got, that which I enjoy, that which is useful to me, is dhanam. Sri Krishna says in the 18th chapter of the Gita that Gamyanam, Karmananamasam, Samyasam, Gavayo Vidhu. The wise understand by renunciation, the giving up of works prompted by the desire. George Bernard Shaw was a very good humorist of the English language. He was once asked, Shaw, if you had two houses, then what would you do? Shaw said, what will a person living alone like me have to do with two houses? I will stay in one house, and I would give the other house away to somebody else. The person then asked, Shaw, if you had two cars, then what would you do? Shaw said, I would use one car and give the other car away to somebody else. The other person then asked, Shaw, you received £1 million, then what would you do? If you received £1 million, then what would you do? Shaw said that I would keep £500,000 for myself and would give the other £500,000 to charity and use it for good purposes. The person then asked, Shaw, if you had two shirts, then what would you do? Shaw then said, I would not give anything to anybody. The person found this strange and thought that he's a remarkable man because he would give away a house, a car, and £500,000. Yet he's saying no to a shirt. He asked Shaw, why is this? Shaw said, look, brother, I do not yet have two houses, I do not yet have two cars, and I have not yet got £500,000. But I do have two shirts. Why would I give these? The thing I have, the things that I need, and the things that I enjoy should be given to others. This is charity. Ramanujacharya says that giving to another what contributes to one's own enjoyment is dhanam. The majority of us consider dhanam to be giving away the useless things that we have and the excess things that we have. For example, when everybody in the house has eaten and there are 3 chapatis left, nobody will eat cold chapatis tomorrow, so you give them away to another person. Then the person may think that this is charity and that they have done a great thing, but this is not dhanam. Giving away that which you need is dhanam. In Washington, in America, there is a community-based organization called SUM, which is an abbreviation for So Others May Eat. A lot of Indians also work with this organization voluntarily. The organization has just one activity. There is also poverty and there are also beggars in America. Not as much as in India, but there are many, who are limited in some areas of life. In Washington, the problems of Shyam Sundaro, African Americans, who are beautiful like Lord Krishna, are greater. What this organization does is that whenever there is a party or gathering at somebody's house, and a lot of food is made for people to eat, then not all of the food is going to be eaten. These volunteers reach there when they hear that there's a party there, and people are eating, and then they tell the host to give them the leftovers so that they can go and give them to the poor. This is their activity, so others may eat. I went once or twice with these people and I saw their activities. I told them that the activities they are doing are good because it is better that the leftover food goes into someone's stomach rather than in a gutter as garbage. But Indian rishis have given us a very good thought. I told them that the activity they are doing in saving food is a sadkarma, a divine act, but you cannot call it an activity that gives great punya. The rishi showed us the path of punya, but rather than taking leftovers, convinced the hosts that before feeding 500 guests, they should go to the community organization and give 50 people from this organization food to distribute how they like. And then their guests will begin eating. If they do this, then this will be called dhan. The Brahma Bhojan, giving food to Brahmins, that our rishis envisaged was like this. One should feed a Brahmin first. This is an activity of maintaining this section of society. We gave the word Brahmin a very limited meaning. It was a great section of society that never kept expectations of anything from society, and therefore society believed that their most important responsibility was in maintaining this section of society. It is our responsibility that the intellectual section of society, the Brahmins, should last. They should last with splendor. A Brahmin should never have to hold their hand out in front of anybody. Society used to take this as a responsibility upon itself. People now keep asking why we should have Brahma Bhajan. It is so that this section of society can be maintained. If there is anything, then Brahmins will eat first, and after the Brahmins eat, then everybody else, including the guests, will eat. That is why they do not give leftovers to Brahmins. They give what they need and what will help them to Brahmins, and then they will get their punya. And this is why this is called Dan. Sri Krishna says that he is the attitude of Dan. When we go on to future chapters in the Gita, then we will discuss Dan in a lot of detail. God will split Dan into Sattvik Dan, donations of the mode of goodness, Rajasvik Dan, donations of the mode of passion, and Tamasik Dan, donations of the mode of dullness. Sri Krishna then says he is Yash. If we do a simple translation of Yash, then it means fame and Kirti, glory. But Srimad Adhikankaracharya says that not only Kirti is Yash, but Yash is fame due to righteousness. Dharma nimittaha kirtihi. That fame and glory that has come on this path of Dharma is Yash. If fame has been obtained on another path from Dharma, then that fame will be Kirti, but not Yash. And Yash and Kirti are not two synonyms. If a cricketer makes 150 runs, then everybody applauds him and gives him the Man of the Match award, and his photos are printed everywhere. Then this is Kirti, glory, but you cannot call this Yash. If people in the newspapers describe it as Yash, this is incorrect according to the scriptures. If somebody gets fame and glory for what they have done on the path of Dharma, then that is Yash. Ramanandacharya says that Yash means renowned for possessing good qualities. Gunrata Pratha. Yash is when a person possesses good qualities from which he can develop spiritually. Other human beings looking at him with feelings of adoration because of the good qualities he has, and other beings feel as if they too must attain those good qualities. This good quality becomes portrayed in his life, so that others feel that there is so much radiance, splendor, and peace on his face. People feel that every time they see him, he is at peace, and they too should bring this peace into their lives. This quality is Yash. The person feels that, why are my eyebrows always pointed as if I am always in turbulence? He has so much happiness on his face. This is Yash. It can be any good quality. Sri Krishna also says the word Ayash. This means disrepute due to unrighteousness. Adharma nimitta akirtihi. There are two very nice words in English. Yash is renown of possessing good qualities, and Ayash is notoriety of possessing bad qualities. That is why we say someone is a notorious person. This is the person who is Ayash. Sri Krishna says that all these 20 different feelings that creatures have, which we have gone through, proceed from him alone. This means that all these 20 feelings are different, but the support of all these feelings is the Lord alone. They are not different in him. I'm asking a question, so think about it. All these feelings that arise in you, me and everyone, but when they arise, does the thought ever come that the feelings that have arisen in your heart are because of the Supreme Soul? Does it ever feel as if they are because of God? Do you ever feel as if they are because of Sri Krishna? Does it ever feel that Sri Krishna is sending us these feelings? Whenever you get an intellectual thought, then does it feel that Sri Krishna is present there? When you get the attitude of giving Dan, in a nice way and in its true meaning, then does it feel as if it is from Sri Krishna? If not, then the reason is that a person gets egotism even from Satkarma, divine acts. Sri Krishna shows his glorious manifestations in these 20 feelings to tell us that we should experience God in each and every feeling. Each and every feeling is God. If I were to go further, then I would say that God says that one should see him in pay, fear, and obey, fearlessness. Yash, fame because of divine acts, and Ayash, disrepute due to unrighteousness. These are all because of God. One can see a complete acceptance. If God is in Yash, fame because of divine acts, then he is also in Ayash, disrepute due to unrighteousness. We accept that God is there when we get fame because of dharma, righteousness. But is God really there when one gets ill fame as a result of adharma, unrighteousness? Sri Krishna says, yes, this feeling is also mine. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Everything that is here is yours only if you are the owner of it. There is nothing here apart from the Lord. God is in everything.